Okay, we are back. Now, if you're just joining us, again, our guest, Terry DuPont, managing partner of Redwood Tax Specialist, founder and chief success officer of DuPont Wealth Management, friend of the show, brilliant mind. We are talking about his book, Holistic Retirement. And Terry, where we left off, we were just going to dive into the stimulus, that injection of money, the stimulus of 2020, argue it whether it helped or hurt. But one thing we do know is that it generated the most deficit spending in U.S. modern history. How are we going to pay that back? What's going to happen?
You know, you and I both know what has to happen. We just don't know if and when it will. First of all, the federal government has to stop spending so much money. Will they? Well, I hope so, but it's not likely to be as much as you and I wish they would stop spending. So that's one option is for the government to quit using the credit card at our expense. The second one is the quantitative easing, where the government since 2009 has been printing billions and billions of dollars and pumping it into the economy. That's over 10 years, and that's what's driven for the last decade the stock market. All the free money or low-cost money in the system has driven the stock market for the last decade. So you've got to quit printing money. You got to quit spending that printed money, or the other options are to increase taxes. Taxes on economic growth, which we don't have yet, but there's a lot of talk going on about that, of taxing your accounts as they grow, and also taxes on individuals, either higher taxes or new taxes, and new taxes on businesses and higher taxes on businesses. So it's reduce spending, quit printing money, or raise taxes, or both.
Now, you mentioned in the book, and I think this is so important, and where we're going to spend a good chunk of the rest of our conversation is, you mentioned in the book that taxes may just be the biggest, least understood risk to someone's retirement. Is that why you're mentioning that?
Absolutely, without a doubt. Most people don't realize it, but taxes are probably the biggest expense they'll have their entire life, not including their mortgage, their business, or anything else. The taxes you pay over your lifetime are without a doubt the largest expense. And so if you keep that in mind, then start looking at your retirement and where we are as a country. And we've got all this debt, it's crazy, unsustainable debt. And yet we're at some of the lowest tax brackets and tax rates we've been since the beginning of the IRS in 1913. So how can you have the highest debt and the lowest taxes and revenue and keep going forward? You can't do it. It's impossible. Okay. So most retirements, however, have an incomplete approach to the planning. There's three phases or three elements you have to look at. You have to look at growth, income, and taxes. The problem is, of those three, typically less than 10% of all people have all three covered. So they didn't do a bad job, just they did an incomplete job.
Now, you say in the book, and I really like this a lot, your book refers to taxes as hidden debt. Explain that.
Most people, not all, because I have talked to a lot of people that didn't know that they had to pay taxes when they took money out of their 401k or IRA or other retirement account. But keep in mind, when you put that money in, you got a tax deduction. Okay. So you didn't have to pay tax on the income that you used to put into that retirement account. Then the money grows tax deferred until you start taking it out. Only then, when you start taking distributions on the back end in retirement, do you pay the taxes. The problem is, how much is that tax bill going to be? Okay. Most people forget they have a silent partner in their retirement, and his name is Uncle Sam. And Uncle Sam and the IRS have a lien. Yes, I did say that. The IRS has a lien on your retirement accounts. You just don't know how big that lien is until they tell you what the tax is going to be when you start taking money out. So that's why we take a two-sided sword approach to taxes. Most people have a micro perception or look at taxes, meaning that they want to reduce taxes in this tax year to the best that they can. Macro perception of tax reduction and tax planning looks at the amount of taxes you will spend for your entire life. And we do both. We want to look at this year, but we want to look down the road too, because that's where the big problem is. That's where the big tax bites are going to come from when tax rates start to go up, is when all these people are retired, all these baby boomers are retired, and they start drawing money out of their retirement account. They are likely going to be in a higher tax bracket when they take the money out than they were when they put the money in. Okay. So we want to look at what it would cost to pay the least amount of taxes over the next several years, as rather the highest amount of taxes over the rest of their life.
Is that what you call the total tax burden analysis? Is that what we're talking about here?
Yeah, it goes hand in hand with the mandatory taxes versus optional taxes. Most people don't realize that a large portion of the taxes on their retirement accounts are optional. They don't know how to access the optional benefits.
This is a good spot for us to take a break. We've got so much to talk about. When we come back, I want to hear what you are going to say, but also we need to talk about the uncertainty with taxation. I'm very curious what you mean by that. Join us on the other side of the break. You do not want to miss a moment of this conversation.